Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major bombshell today about Ilhan Omar. This is major breaking news. There is a new deadline today for Ilhan Omar, and if she does not comply with this, she is facing major trouble. Not only is she facing calls to step down, get fired, and deported, but people are now calling for her to actually get consequences and face action for what she has done. So we're going to dive into all of this, but before we do, we're going to read scripture and pray because God comes first. Amen? Comment amen if you truly do believe that God comes first. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Amen. God has a plan for you. That Bible reading is from Jeremiah 29:11. And my brothers and sisters, congratulations to everyone who has begun investing. Thanks to President Trump, we just hit another new all-time high. It is the best time to get started right now, and we have a totally free offer with the link below. Or if you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your phone and scan this QR code and a link will pop up. It's 100% free to get started. And if you don't know where to start, just download the app and watch the free investing tutorial below. I break it all down for you. Okay, so the deadline is today. Representative Ilhan Omar must turn over all documents to the Minnesota Fraud Committee. Let's tune in, my friends. Do you think she will do it?
For Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to turn over documents to Minnesota's House Fraud Prevention Committee. The state is seeking communications tied to defendants in the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. The nonprofit falsely claimed to serve millions of meals to children while pocketing federal funds. Omar's name appeared 6 times in court documents from the case as she reportedly communicated with the founder of Feeding Our Future. Omar's office has not responded to Fox News' multiple requests for comment.
So she has not responded to a media outlet, Fox News. Do you think she's going to respond to turn over documents? Heck, she doesn't even know the difference between World War II and World War XI. Do you think she's getting... And her tax guy can't seem to figure out how much money she's worth. I don't think she's going to be able to, you know, comply with that. That's just my 2 cents. Look at this. This is the deadline update here, my friends. Let's tune in.
And meanwhile, Minnesota lawmakers are asking Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to respond by Tuesday regarding questions about a statewide child nutrition fraud scheme. The lawmakers are seeking Omar's written and electronic communications involving the state's Feeding Our Future program, which misused millions of dollars in taxpayer funds. State lawmakers specifically hoping to look at Omar's correspondence with the owners of the Safari restaurant. State lawmakers point out Omar was a regular at that restaurant, staging many campaign events there. Its owners recently pleaded guilty for their role in the $250 million fraud scheme. Now, Omar's team and allies have largely framed allegations trying to link her to fraud as politically motivated and not substantiated. But for more on this, we are joined by Minnesota State Representative Kristin Robbins tonight. She is the chair of the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee.
So this is important because this woman can actually do stuff because she's a congresswoman in Minnesota. So this is her state. She must be so mad that her state is failing her.
So a candidate for Minnesota governor. Appreciate you being here today and sharing your perspective. And I know we're fast approaching this Tuesday request for Congresswoman Omar here. If she doesn't respond by this deadline, what is your committee's move on Wednesday morning?
You know, we hope she will respond. She certainly owes it to Minnesota taxpayers and families to respond to our questions. And so I'm still hoping, but if not, the committee will examine all our options and we will continue to press for it because she created the program, the Meals Act, that took the guardrails off the school nutrition program, that created the conditions for all this fraud. And she should come and answer our questions.
Will you try to subpoena her?
So we will look at all the options. We'll see what happens next week in committee.
Assuming that she doesn't respond, and I'm not sure that she would. I mean, given she's a member of Congress, it doesn't seem that the committee has actual authority to get her to show up. Let's assume she does not respond. Will the committee be pursuing a subpoena on Wednesday?
So we are looking at all the options. As you may know, we don't have...
Let's take our bets, guys. Do you bet that she's going to respond to the deadline today or not?
The full subpoena power. at the committee at this time because of the makeup of the House being tied, but we will certainly look at all our options. And we will also continue to work with our federal partners who do have subpoena power. So this is far from over, and we will keep looking at all options available to us.
Have you seen any direct evidence linking Congresswoman Omar to any wrongdoing?
Well, the court exhibits from Feeding Our Future showed in the exhibit list different communications between her office and some of her staffers and Feeding Our Future defendants. And that is the information we're trying to get. What were they communicating about? Did they tell them that they'd taken the guardrails off the program? Did they encourage them to get involved as one of the sites? Safari Restaurant was one of the sites that, as you noted, has been charged and convictions have been brought against them, but they were the largest single site in the Feeding Our Future case. So we definitely want to understand what her office was communicating, and I think that should be made available to the public.
Her team and Democrats have said that these allegations are politically motivated. Tell me more about that. Is this about fact-finding, or is this about putting political pressure on a high-profile Democrat?
It's facts over feelings, and Ilhan Omar is offended that they're finding out this crap about finding out this fraud in Minnesota.
This is about getting the truth. That's what we want. We want the truth. For far too long in Minnesota, people were afraid to tell the truth about the fraud problem. And when they did, they were retaliated against. And we have said that will no longer stand. We are going to tell the truth. We are going to follow the facts and the law, and then we will see what happens. But we have a duty to the taxpayers and to the needy Minnesotans who need these services to find the facts and get the truth.
We mentioned the FBI raid over those 20 locations in Minneapolis this week, including many daycare centers. Was your committee briefed by federal authorities before those raids took place, or were you watching them unfold on the news like everyone else?
No, we watch it on the news and like everyone else. I have a great relationship with our federal partners, and we certainly share information with them as we get it because we want them to have all information for their investigations. But once they start looking at something, we find out just like everybody else.
Yeah, this is actually insane. Look at this. FBI raided Minnesota. So Nick Shirley kind of had a big impact on this because they literally raided all these daycare businesses. 22 businesses, FBI raids.
Just moments ago now, large-scale raids targeting federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center. And Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a photographer there at the daycare since this morning, capturing video of those federal agents just going in and out of the building, collecting evidence as part of the DOJ's fraud investigation in Minnesota. Take a look at this video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across Minneapolis this morning, and sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers, and you'll remember they were either closed or there were just no children inside, despite receiving state child care funding. Now, the location that you're looking at right now, it's the Quality Learning Center. This is the daycare. It went viral. It blew up on social media because of a sign outside with learning that was literally misspelled. The Education Secretary at the time claimed that the daycare received $1.9 million while, quote, masquerading as a daycare. And then shortly after that, the Trump administration announced it was freezing child care funding to Minnesota and calling for a full audit of certain daycare centers. And just checking my emails now, it looks like we got a statement from DHS sharing, quote, Homeland Security investigations in cooperation with our law enforcement partners executed criminal search warrants in Minneapolis relating to the rampant fraud of U.S. taxpayers' dollars. And as you could see there, federal agents still outside one of those daycare centers.
So it does seem like Ilhan Omar will be held accountable finally. Look at what Ilhan Omar said. She said, "This is wild, my friends. Listen very carefully to what she said. The idea that America is a white nation that must be preserved is disgusting."
The idea that this is a white nation that needs to be preserved is a fascinatingly disgusting view, because this country is one for the many. The idea.
Why does it matter about race all of a sudden? Like, I thought we were not supposed to see color. You know, I don't see color. I don't care what color your skin is. Why does Ilhan Omar care so much? Ilhan Omar goes full radical. Look at this about the Supreme Court.
Lastly, Congress can change the number of justices on the court at any time, and has done so 7 times throughout our history. Since 1989, the last time the court was expanded, the U.S. population has grown by over 800%. Yet the court has stayed stagnant at 9 justices. In the face of a stolen seat, a sitting justice implicated in a coup attempt, and a dangerous crisis of legitimacy, this common sense reform should absolutely be at the table. Lastly, Congress can change the number of justices.
She has gone full radical. I can't believe she even has power to, like, influence people. Look at this. This is huge news, guys.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
And he hosted events for Ilhan Omar, guys? That doesn't seem like they had any connection at all. They probably barely knew each other, right? CNN is admitting that Americans are winning in the stock market thanks to President Trump. Take a listen.
It's a success story if you're in the White House right now, the stock market is, and you can see it right here. Okay, S&P 500 shifts at this point in a presidency. You know, coming into today at the close of yesterday, look at this, up 19%. That is higher than the average president since 2001, when it was up 15%, and way, way higher than the average presidency since 1961, up 6%. So this stock market has been up like a rocket, and no wonder the president of the United States wants to talk about it.
I mean, Donald Trump literally told us that this is a great time to buy, and that this is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. And I don't know about you, but I did listen to President Trump, and my investment returns are up over $67,000. One of you guys messaged me that you were up over $13,000. Now, if you want to learn how to begin investing, we have a totally free offer with no commitment at all. You can click the link below, download the app, and follow the free tutorial that I created for you guys. I tell you all the stocks that I have, how to get them, and I break it down step by step and easy. If you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and point it at this QR code and just download the app and the link. And again, it's totally free to get started. It's just my gift to you for being a watcher of my show.
You know, we always knew that things were eventually going to catch up with the ultra-repulsive third worldist Ilhan Omar for years. The allegations against Omar have been sitting there like a ticking time bomb in plain sight. Conservatives raised it, independent journalists documented it, and every single time the legacy media looked the other way. They called it a conspiracy theory, or they screamed even worse, Islamophobia. But here's what they can't scream away. Here's what no amount of media spin can cover up anymore. Vice President J.D. Vance sat down with Benny Johnson just this past week, and he said in plain, unmistakable, on-the-record English, what we've all known all along.
Yeah, so we actually think that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And I talked to Steve Miller about this actually recently. We're trying to look at what the remedies are. That's the thing that we're trying to figure out, is what are the legal remedies now that we know that she's committed immigration fraud? How do you go after her? How do you investigate her? How do you actually do the thing? How do you build the case necessary to get some justice for the American people? There's a related issue, Benny, which is she has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somali community. So do I know that Ilhan Omar was aware that the Quality Leering Center was defrauding the American people? I'm not certain of it, but we at least need to investigate it, because if people can commit wrongdoing without even the fear that they're going to be found out, that's a fundamental problem. So I'm worried about the immigration fraud. I'm also worried about, what did Ilhan Omar know about what was happening in the Somali community, and why was nobody looking into it until, frankly, Donald Trump came along?
Now, most Americans know the basic outline of the marriage fraud allegation, right? These allegations that Omar married her brother to commit immigration fraud originated from a post on a Somali American internet forum back in 2016. Omar married Ahmed Elmi back in 2009. He's a British citizen who attended North Dakota State University.
A British citizen? I thought she said we need to be more fearful of white men, though. But she married one?
He studied fine arts there. Very little was actually publicly known about him, but they ended up divorcing. And when she had a child with her new husband, there were apparently Instagram posts from Elmi, her former husband, calling Ilhan Omar's newborn daughter his niece, implying that he was Omar's brother, right? Her child's uncle. And it was a weird marriage. If you don't know, she was married before that to a guy named Ahmed Hirsi. They separated, they supposedly divorced, and then she married this guy, Elmi, who again, we're told the whole Somali community knew was her brother. And then oddly, they divorce after a very short marriage, and after he migrates to the States, and then she gets together again with her original husband. It's really odd stuff. Well, the Daily Mail recently reported that a Somali community insider, Abdi Hakim Osman, he went on the record saying Omar herself told friends that the man who became her second husband, this Ahmed Elmi, was actually her brother.
Oh, that's nasty. That is nasty. Why do politicians always get caught doing the wildest stuff? Joe Rogan just called out Ilhan Omar on his show to tens of millions of people. Watch this, guys. Ilhan Omar is finished after Joe Rogan just crushes her.
See Ilhan Omar, she was reading off of a script. She's the woman who's a congresswoman from Minnesota, from Minneapolis. And she's connected, at least accused of being connected to the Somali daycare center. She's Somali. She's accused of being connected to this fraud. So she's reading off this script. And you know how people write World War II and they use like II for two?
Okay, yeah.
She reads it as World War 11.
This is a congressperson?
She's a congresswoman. See if you can find the video, Jamie.
And this is the same person, by the way, who says that Trump supporters are too stupid, too idiotic to debate. She's so much smarter than everyone else, especially Trump supporters.
These people are just idiots. I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people. The dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get a Trump presidency again? The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Oh my gosh. It's not even that that she doesn't know World War XI. She also says, she's also pronouncing during as doing. Doing. She says doing.
Kind of adorable. It's kind of adorable because I don't think English is her first language already. At least it doesn't.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI. Oh, two.
At least she caught it, though.
I didn't know she caught it. I never saw it. They always cut it off before she caught it.
Well, that's politics, bro. Politics is fucking brutal, man.
It's gross.
I don't understand why anybody would want to go into it.
But you're mad. How could you say World War XI? Like, there haven't been
I've
9 other wars you forgot about.
I mean, and she's just reading off of a script. It's like she's an actor. She's a Trump-hating actor. It's like, Was she hired by somebody? Look at this. Developing fraud raids in Minnesota target 22 businesses. We'll get to that in a second with Donald Trump Jr. coming up. Donald Trump Jr. just went off on all of that stuff developing. But real quick, let's get back to Dr. Steve Turley.
The last 3 years, one of America's most aggressive and repulsive haters has been lecturing Americans about corruption, greed, and the supposed evils of capitalism from her perch in Congress. She's demanded investigations into others. She's called for prosecutions. She's positioned herself as the moral, social conscience of the left, the darling of the legacy media. But behind the scenes, behind closed doors, something very different has been happening. Last week, federal investigators, the House Oversight Committee, and the Treasury Department all simultaneously turned their attention to the same target. And what they found is so brazen, so shocking, that it's forcing even her allies to go silent.
Trump exposes new report on Ilhan Omar. This comes from Stephen Gardner.
I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. What President Trump just said on stage about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is one of the most brutally honest and flat out hilarious takedowns of a sitting Congresswoman you'll ever see. He went after her marriage to her brother, using it to get a green card and defraud the United States of America.
Crazy.
And a financial disclosure that magically went from 38 million to 80,000 as soon as they pulled back the curtain to see that she's actually broke. And he called this whole thing exactly what it is: a fraud, a scam, and a con. And he did it all with a smile on his face. Watch this.
But JD's done a great job. Thousands and thousands of people are it's a fraud. I mean, look at the wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. You should try it sometime. Somalia. It's a beautiful place. It's got no government. It's got no military. It's got no anything. It's got one thing that's really strong: crime. It's got a lot of crime. They have no police. All they do is run around shooting each other. It's filthy dirty, disgusting dirty. It's a horrible place. They come here, and Ilhan Omar, you ever hear of her? She heads it, and think of it. They have nothing but crime, poverty, pollution. Everything is horrible over there. Nothing good. They say it's the worst country anywhere in the world, that we got some beauties out there, but it's the worst. And then she comes here from Somalia.
And why did Joe Biden let in so many of them? Or Barack, I think it was even Barack Obama, let in so many of them. It's because Minnesota, you should take a look at the numbers there.
And she tells us how to run the United States of America. She says, the Constitution gives me certain rights. Gives me certain rights. And I demand that I be given these rights. Get the hell out. What a phony. And then she married a brother to come in. I don't know, you're not. But I would imagine they're looking at her. I have nothing to do with it. I would imagine. Of course I have nothing to do. I have nothing, but I believe she married her brother, which is totally illegal. Although it's a lovely couple, actually, but it's a little bit on the illegal side. Darling, I love you very much. Good night, brother. Let's go to bed. Good night. Isn't she despicable? I can't stand watching. I can't stand. Did you see last month? She accidentally checked the wrong box. It said she was worth $38 million. And law enforcement came after her for that. And then all of a sudden she was worth less than $80,000. And she said it was accounting. It was an accounting error. That was not a very good accountant, was it, huh? No, their whole life is based on fraud and a scam. The whole thing is a scam. And we ought to get those people the hell out of our country.
There's a lot of them, and Obama actually did play a big role in the Somalia refugees. But according to the Associated Press, Obama did not resettle 70,000 of them. Minnesota only received 6,000 Somali refugees under the Obama administration. But the data shows a total of 54,000 Somali refugees came to the United States while Obama was president. So Obama did play some role.
She lectured us about democracy. She lectured us about justice. She lectured us about who belongs in America and who doesn't. For 8 years, Ilhan Omar has stood at her podium in the United States Congress, a Congress she sits in as an allegedly fraudulent citizen, and she pointed her finger at Americans, at Trump, at the very country that rescued her from a war zone.
Whoa.
But this week, everything changed, because now it's not just the DOJ looking at her. It's not just the House Oversight Committee. It's not just Vice President J.D. Vance confirming on national media that he knows she committed immigration fraud. No. Now it's a foreign nation getting involved. They just sent a message to the Department of Justice that's sending chills down Ilhan Omar's spine. We're not talking deportation anymore. We're now officially talking, I kid you not, extradition.
And Dr. Steve Turley raises a really good point. And now that we've seen the third, the fourth attempt at assassinating Trump, people are pointing the finger at Ilhan Omar. They were actually talking about censoring Ilhan Omar for her remarks against her after Charlie Kirk's death.
Another day, another big story about Ilhan Omar. This time it looks like this woman is about to be censured there in the halls of Congress. We'll talk about what that means and how it's going to happen. Welcome.
And you know what Ilhan Omar said about white men? She says they're causing most of the deaths in this country. That is a very wild thing to say, and something that does push hate towards white men.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country.
Do you agree with Ilhan? Do you think we should be more fearful of white men across our country?
Because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
Well, I don't know how any Democrats would actually support this woman. Like, she should be just removed from the party, I think.
Well, it looks like she's finally been caught. And no, I'm not talking about her own version of a Jussie Smollett staged attack. I'm talking about something actually a lot worse. We now know that this reprehensible squad member has gone from broke to worth over $30 million in less than 3 years.
So she went to 0 to 30 and then back to 18,000 to 60,000? She's horrible with finances. Why is she up there leading in Congress if she can't even figure out how much money she's worth? That's insane.
According to Osman, this Somali leader, Omar said she had to do what she had to do in order to get papers so he could stay in the United States and go to school. Osman describes Elmi showing up in Minneapolis from London, being introduced by Omar as her brother, and then suddenly, quietly, became her legally registered husband. So these are the allegations that she's never adequately cleared up. Well, now, the latest bombshell is actually coming from the Republic of Somaliland. I kid you not, the official government account just dropped what they are saying are actual receipts. They're claiming that Omar's real name was always Elmi, right? The same last name as the guy she married. And the reason the family is called Omar is because Ilhan's father, a former Somali military colonel named Nur Saeed Elmi, changed the family name to conceal their true identity when they immigrated to the United States.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's so hard to keep track of all of this stuff. She's flip-flopping all over the place with her money, with her finances, with her marriage. I can't keep track of it, but I'm glad Dr. Steve is breaking it all down.
And that's because, according again to the Somaliland officials, between 1981 and 91, the Somali military executed what's known as the Izak genocide, which was a brutal, systematic campaign targeting the Izak people, who are now the people of the Republic of Somaliland. Over 200,000 civilians were killed. It was utterly horrific. Cities were bombed from the air, villages were burned, water sources were mined. It was described really as one of the worst atrocities on the African continent in the 20th century. And Ilhan Omar's father Colonel Nursaid Elmi, served as a senior officer in the very Somali military that carried this genocide out. He was a propagandist, surprise, surprise, for the Marxist regime that ruled at the time. And so when that regime fell in 1991, what did the family do? They fled, but they didn't flee because they were oppressed. They fled precisely because they were the oppressors. You can't make this stuff up. And they weren't about to stick around and face the consequences. So they changed their name, right? They split the family between the United States and the United Kingdom. They told American immigration officials that they were just innocent refugees, and they walked right in. Apparently, the Obama DOJ, this is according to Somaliland officials, they had access to this evidence all along, and they refused to investigate. That is, until now. We are indeed witnessing a historic turning point as President Trump leads a righteous crusade to finally liberate the world from the terrorist state of Iran. A much more sinister war is being waged right here on our own soil. While our commander-in-chief moves with decisive strength.
It's actually insane to me that anybody voted for Ilhan Omar. I'm like, that proves how dumb some people are, that they went and they said, yeah, that's the woman that I want to be leading. Unless those people have bad intentions, they're like, okay, maybe Ilhan Omar will let me get away with some stuff. But take a look at what President Trump said, because he's actually happy about all of this stuff coming out because it's making our country even greater than it ever was before, now that our country is thriving again. He has a message for us.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country, and you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
And I don't know about you, but I did listen to President Trump, and my investment returns are up over $67,000. One of you guys messaged me that you were up over $13,000. Now, if you want to learn how to begin investing, we have a totally free offer with no commitment at all. You can click the link below, download the app, and follow the free tutorial that I created for you guys. I tell you all the stocks that I have, how to get them, and I break it down step by step and easy. If you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and point it at this QR code and just download the app and the link. And again, it's totally free to get started. It's just my gift to you for being a watcher of my show. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of swindling investor in their California winery. This is a huge news story.
Omar's husband, Tim Minette, after being promised a 200% return in 18 months. So that'd be $900,000 total. Pretty good. Plus 10% monthly interest. Minette told him the winery was legit. They had grapes. They had a respected Sonoma winemaker ready to turn those grapes into profit. Needless to say, Mode never got his 200% return. He barely got his $300,000 back. He sued Omar, I kid you not, for fraud, surprise, surprise, claiming Minette and his business partner fraudulently misrepresented that their winery was a legit company, when in point of fact, it basically didn't even exist. But the winery isn't even the biggest red flag here. That honor goes to Rose Lake Capital, Minette's venture capital firm. This is where things get absolutely insane, and it looks like this is where the walls are finally going to be closing in on Ilhan Omar. According to court documents, Ilhan Omar's husband's Rose Lake Capital had $42.44 in its bank account in late 2022. 2 years later, Omar's financial disclosure valued the firm at up to $25 million. Now,
where the heck is that money coming from?
How did a firm with $42 to its name suddenly become worth $25 million in a matter of literally months? Great question. Again, nobody knows, because Rose Lake Capital appears to have no clients. no disclosed investments, no SEC registration as an investment advisor. The firm's website lists vague language about bespoke solutions and exclusive partnerships for global entrepreneurs across 80 different countries, but there's no track record, no M&A deals, no evidence of any actual work. In fact, my state of Delaware, where Rose Lake Capital's incorporated, they canceled the registration for Omar's husband's investment firm for not paying its back taxes. It owed more than $400,000 to Delaware based on what they claimed they were worth. But it appears they don't have the money, or they're not disclosing where the money is. I mean, it's frankly beyond insane, and it's catching the attention of both the financial world and law enforcement. Here's Steve Forbes.
This is really weird stuff.
Well, weird is not the word for it. There's another word for it called crooked. And that's why we have to have an investigation into this. As you know, the Biden administration started examining her finances and that of her husband. And so surprise, surprise, that investigation went nowhere. But it's amazing how people can go into Congress and then become these entrepreneurial investing geniuses, where they come in, she had under $1,000 of net worth and her husband didn't have much, and suddenly now they're multimillionaires. Is there a money laundering operation here? And in terms of the firms themselves, they have a sketchy background. That winery in California that she and her husband own, where did that come from? Where's the wine there? Nobody can seem to find it. So there's a lot of smelly stuff here, and that's why in the American Dream, her version of the American Dream is the Al Capone version of the American Dream, Tony Soprano version of the American Dream, and that is steal it from the taxpayers. And so there's a lot of stuff here, and so when somebody cloaks themselves in the American Dream, and so you have numbers like this, from minus 1,000 to 30, 40 million, you know something is not right.
Well, she's literally like the epitome of how horrible the government is. Basically doing exactly what she's accusing Trump of doing, or Republicans. And here's J.D. Vance talking about it all. This is the latest development here, guys, with this fraud probe. The Department of Justice now is getting involved. This is huge.
All right, slashing fraud and government waste are front and center for the Trump administration. Vice President Vance is wasting no time leading the anti-fraud task force. He told Fox News his team is moving faster than anyone expected and delivering real results.
You know, I had this question to the Department of Justice. You know, these investigations take a long time. People told me it would take at least 6 months. We've gone from Nick Shirley's video about the Minneapolis fraud schemes to active, judges issuing warrants for this investigation in a matter of 3 months. We really have the most accelerated, aggressive anti-fraud operation that we've ever seen from the federal government. And again, it's because the President of the United States empowered his team to go after this.
It's taken no time to find the problem. It's a massive one. A new Government Accountability Office study finds in fiscal year 2025, agencies made a staggering $186 billion in improper payments across 64 programs. That's up $24 billion from the prior year, 82% of those being overpayments. Well, on the topic of fraud, yesterday, federal agents raided daycare centers across Minnesota's Twin Cities as part of a broader effort targeting fraud. The raids came on the same day as Governor Tim Walz's State of the State address, where he tried to take credit for the Trump administration's crackdown.
People who have ripped us off are getting caught, and they are going to jail, just like today. I've said the buck stops with me. And as I know some of you will take that as an open invitation to play politics with every incident of fraud that takes place here in Minnesota, even though I have to tell you, the statistics show it's happening in red states more than here, but so be it. The more generous your support system is, the more oversight you need to make sure people aren't taking unfair advantage.
Except the tough guy act on fraud falls completely flat after he ghosted a key fraud hearing at the Minnesota State Capitol just hours before his big address. Joining us now is Minnesota Fraud Prevention Committee Chairwoman, Republican State Representative Kristin Robbins. She's also running for governor of Minnesota. State Representative, thanks for being here tonight. Tim Walz doesn't show up for your hearings, even though he's front and center in all this. I don't think Ilhan Omar ever shows up either. Would be nice to hear from those guys since they seem to have a lot of connections to the folks involved. Do you think you're ever going to get them in front of you so they can answer real questions?
I mean, based on their behavior this week, no, they've ghosted us, and it's really an affront to Minnesotans. They have been responsible for the billions of our dollars stolen, and they should come before the committee and answer our questions. And I found it just so frustrating when Tim Walz said, well, if you're generous, some people will take advantage of it. No, it's criminal stealing, theft, and it's not taking advantage of. These people are criminals who are taking our dollars from our taxpayers and from our needy citizens.
You know, there have been people convicted of some of this fraud, okay, with the Feeding Our Future scam and other things. But you pointed out something that I thought was rather shocking. I want to see real punishments, okay? You've pointed out that some of these people who've stolen millions of dollars are getting like probation-only sentences on this. Is that true? And what could you do about it?
Yes, it's so frustrating. So our federal partners work so hard, investigate these cases, bring the prosecutions, and then they're given probation. A guy just yesterday, I think it was, he stole $2 million and got 1 year probation. It's unconscionable, and Minnesotans are so frustrated because without the criminal deterrent of real jail time, this is just going to keep happening because they will think crime pays. And so we need the judges to step up and have sentences that are commensurate with the crime.
I mean, how many millions of dollars do you got to steal to get a real penalty beyond a slap on the wrist and probation? Okay, I want to ask you about something because this caught my eye. I'm a native Minnesotan. We've got a cabin in Minnesota, and we fly the old Minnesota flag there, okay, because I love that flag. Now, Minnesota, in the last year or two, I think it was, changed to a different flag, which editorial, personal opinion, I think stinks, but they changed to this flag, okay? There you are, the old flag, which is great, and I can tell you all about it if you could see a closer picture. The new flag, I'll just leave it at the new flag. Okay. Here's what's interesting, State Representative. There's a lot of cities in Minnesota that are saying, you know what? We don't like the new flag. We don't like how the state decided upon it. And we're going to fly the old one. And I like that. But some of your colleagues are trying to make a law punishing those cities for doing that. What do you make of this whole thing? What is the bigger story maybe that it's telling about the state of Minnesota?
Well, I think it shows that, once again, they're not listening to the people. The people do not support the new flag. And many of the towns in Minnesota have voted as city councils to only fly the old flag. But yet the state continues to push this. It was voted on by a commission. The legislature didn't vote on it. The people didn't vote on it. And people are furious. So this is more of the Democrats, when they're in charge, trying to tell everyone else what's good for them and what they should do. And Minnesotans are fed up with it, and they are trying to take back control of our state. And so this is just one example of how cities are pushing back and saying, no, we're sticking with the old flag.
I honestly think that Ilhan Omar is just so pissed because she sees how great our country is doing right now, and they're actually finding out a lot of this stuff that she didn't want anybody to know about. I mean, think about it. All of this stuff is getting exposed. America is thriving right now. Our country is safer. We're spending less money on corruption. Our economy is booming. The stock market is booming. President Trump is even urging us all to celebrate and join him. Take a listen.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher.
And I don't know about you, but I did listen to President Trump, and my investment returns are up over $67,000. One of you guys messaged me that you were up over $13,000. Now, if you want to learn how to begin investing, we have a totally free offer with no commitment at all. You can click the link below, download the app, and follow the free tutorial that I created for you guys. I tell you all the stocks that I have, how to get them, and I break it down step by step and easy. If you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and point it at this QR code and just download the app in the link. And again, it's totally free to get started. It's just my gift to you for being a watcher of my show.